What's up, everyone? Welcome to Trifecta. This channel is about building wealth through three pillars. First is the emergency fund, which is also combined with strict budgeting. Second is a brokerage account, which will be a cash flow hub. And third is tax efficient retirement accounts. I'm not here to pretend I figured everything out. I'm here to build this in public, poke holes in my own plan, and see if this actually works long term. Quick disclaimer before we start. This channel is for entertainment and educational purposes only. I am not a financial advisor, and this is not financial advice. So why am I making this channel? Well, my youngest daughter will be turning 16 in about 14 months. I could just save cash for her car and buy it that way, or I could put that money to work and use the dividends and cash flow to help pay for it. I am also a Jesus follower, and I believe the resources entrusted to me should be used wisely and intentionally. So my goal with this channel is simple. Real numbers, real decisions, real mistakes, if and when they happen. I want this community to help me pressure test the strategy and see if it holds up over years, not just weeks. Let's talk about the trifecta itself. Pillar 1 is an emergency fund paired with strict budgeting. I'm targeting a 3-month emergency fund. This is my safety net. It keeps me from panic selling investments or making bad decisions when life happens. The budget is what keeps everything in order and prevents me from getting careless, especially when using margin responsibly. So this here is our actual budget. I blacked out our incomes and our planned in, actual in, and actual spending. I also blacked out our giving that we give to our church and other giving, um, and our mortgage. These things are fixed, they do not change, and this could be different for everybody. So I figured I would leave those blacked out, allow for some ambiguity, and actually show you the things that do adjust through the month, and then we can budget those and work through those together. We'll see how I do, if we're making budget or missing budget, and then when we do miss budget, how do we recover from that? It's about halfway through the month now. Uh, we actually have put $750 to our emergency fund. It comes out on Friday, but the transaction doesn't hit our account until Monday. Um, so I do create these videos on Fridays, and I will upload them to YouTube on Saturday mornings. So then here, this is our water bill. Vectron is for gas. DP&L is our electric bill. Verizon is for 5 different phones for our whole family. My oldest son and my oldest daughter pay for their phones. Then we have Peak Fiber, that's our internet. Home repair and maintenance, that is for any home repairs that come up. Just small repairs. Larger repairs, of course, comes from the emergency fund. Auto repairs, this year was for a relay in my wife's car. The heater just keeps blowing, it won't stop. This is something I can change myself, so it didn't cost us that much money. This is for our gas. We both work relatively close to where we live, so that is very, very convenient. We don't have to spend that much in gas every month. Nissan payment. We used to have a Nissan payment. It is now paid off. That's my wife's car. I just keep that line item in here, so when we do have a car payment in the future, that will go there. Groceries, this month we budgeted a little bit higher due to Christmas. Um, we are right on track, and hopefully we don't spend all that, because as you see below that, our restaurants that are going out to eat, we have already at that budget, and today we're actually going to go have uh, supper with my stepdad and exchange Christmas gifts. So we will have to use some of our grocery money for our restaurant budget. Auto insurance, this is for All of our cars for my oldest son and oldest daughter as well, they pay their own insurance. Um, so our budget for this is a lot less. It's probably closer to around $100. Doctor and chiropractor, this is anything above and beyond what our health insurance doesn't cover. Kids allowance for my youngest daughter. This is for subscriptions. Anything that we stream. We don't have cable, but we do have streaming services. This also covers our Ring doorbell. It's about $5 a month or so if to save all the videos that it records. We think it's a pretty good investment to have that. Um, it's a little bit higher right now because I did buy NFL ticket for this season. I'm a Cleveland Browns fan. Um, so they weren't supposed to be very good this year, so I figured they wouldn't be on local channels. Uh, I was wrong. They had been on local channels every week besides one week, so this was not what money well spent. It's about $30 a month for 8 months, so I did not get my money's worth with that. Entertainment. This is for usually just goes to date nights for me and my wife. This month actually we went to go watch Back to the Future musical, and that is a awesome musical. I highly recommend it if you guys have not seen that. I'm not a huge musical fan, mostly just do it for my wife. She loves them, but I would go watch this one again. I could be biased because I am a Back to the Future fan, but it was very entertaining. It is a longer one, probably like 3 hours, but it didn't feel like 3 hours. It was very good. Miscellaneous. We usually don't put anything under miscellaneous. Miscellaneous is kind of a crutch. If you're putting the stuff underneath that, you're not really budgeting. Amazon Prime and Costco, we don't do that anymore. Costco, I just put it under groceries because that's what we mainly use it for. And then with Amazon Prime, we only get it during Christmas time. And I just put that under the Christmas budget because it's what we're using it for. Personal care, that is usually stuff like my wife's haircut or any other things that we need. Um, I don't know why I don't put it under groceries, but I don't. Uh, Going back to groceries, this is not just food. This is for anything that is consumable that comes into this house. So that could be cleaning products, shampoo, conditioner, anything that we consume goes under groceries. So I just don't want people to think that we eat that much. We eat a lot, but not that much. Okay, back to piano lessons. When my daughters were younger, they were in piano, so that's what that is. They're not anymore, but I just haven't taken it off of the list. Uh, Kids activities, that's usually sporting events for our kids. Um, my oldest son is actually the coach for the eighth grade local basketball team, so we've been using that money to go watch him coach, which is is really fun. I'm really proud of him uh, doing that. Business expenses, that is for my wife's business. We don't budget for it, but we just make sure that anything that she does use out of our personal account gets tracked and goes back to her, and her business actually pays for it. Pet care, that's for if the dogs or cats get sick, but so far they've been pretty good this month. No need to budget for that. Grad party, it's just something we keep on here. We like to we like to set money aside before the kids graduate. That way, it's not we don't have to pay for it all that month, but we got 4 years before the next graduation. Clothing, seeing how it was December, all of that budget went to Christmas instead. Gifts, that's for usually birthday presents or anything else that we want to give somebody a gift. This month was my son's birthday, so that's what most of that money went to there. Christmas, um, this is not our total Christmas. This is just for December. We do save money throughout the year to go towards Christmas as well. My wife has been doing really good this year. keeping it within budget. So hats off to her for that. She's been doing an awesome job. This is our allowance. My wife did go over a little bit, but she does have extra in her savings account to pay this. She just hasn't transferred the money ever yet, and she's thinking about sending some of the stuff that she did get back. And then my allowance, it's all been spent. Most of my allowance goes to playing golf and bowling. Right now, I'm doing both because me and my friend are in a golf simulator league, and it's not too bad. It's only $10 a week, but it used up on my allowance. You can see on the side here, I did get myself an iPad and an impromptu Browns game that my son and I went to. So I gave myself a loan out of our savings, and I'll pay that back over time. And then lastly here, this is if we do get anything extra put on our credit cards, we put it down here. We Everything that we do buy goes through a credit card, and then we pay it off every month. We do that just so we can get the cash back. Um, we're pretty strict with our budget, so we're not afraid of getting into credit card debt. If you do have problems with that, do not do what we do. The cashback isn't worth it. The amount of money that you would spend on interest. Here is our emergency fund plan for over the next year. Actually, it's probably about a year and a half that I'm showing here. Um, this column here would be our emergency fund. This column here is this is our brokerage account. This is what we're putting our money that we plan on buying a car into. Once we get to around 3 to 6 months, which we'll hit in January, the plan is to the money that is going into our emergency fund, which is $130 a week, will go to our brokerage account. So it'll be $250 total. Once we next January, roughly. Uh, the plan also covers any type of big expenses that we want to do throughout the year. And next spring, we want to replace an exterior door in the back of our house and also redo our deck and add a fence. We do have a fence going around 2/3 of our yard, and we just want to wrap up that last third. Pillar 2 is the brokerage account. This is where most of my focus and time will be. I'm treating this like a part-time job and honestly like a small business. The plan is to flow cash through this account to start covering small bills first, bridging payments carefully with margin. As the account grows and proves itself, I'll gradually add more bills only as the portfolio can responsibly handle them. All right, let me try to explain this. This whole idea for the brokerage account actually comes from Paycheck to Portfolio. It's another YouTube channel. I'll add his link to his channel in the description below. It's a really, really awesome channel and awesome idea of what this guy is doing. So all credit for this goes to him. And this resource that you're seeing here actually comes from his channel as well. He has a Discord that you can join. It's very, very beneficial, so I'd highly recommend it. So my current account right now is sitting at about $3,800, but 1,000 of that is allocated for other stuff. I most likely will move that over to be used for this this idea here, because the $1,000 that I have is just for buying a few stocks and also doing some uh, put options in order to make about $25 to $100 a week with BFLY. But that's not guaranteed and a little bit more risky. This, every $1,000 that you add to it is roughly about $20 to $25 a month in dividends. And so I'll explain that, how that I get to that number here. So currently we're at $2,877. There is no margin debt, so the total portfolio right now is also $2,877. The blended yield is 25.13. The margin interest rate, this is what Fidelity charges me on my margin loan, is 11.83. And I'm okay with that because my blended yield is much higher than that. So my business spread, that's yield minus the interest rate that Fidelity is charging me, is 13.3. So I'm making more money than what I'm paying in margin. So right now the equity is at 100% as well. Annual dividends right now is projected at $722. Um, so what Fidelity does, and also Snowball Analytics, which you are seeing here, they take the last payment that was actually paid out by these ETFs and they project it forward to give you your annual estimated income. Um, so these amounts are not guaranteed. It's just something to plan around. So you can see here, this is what I'm projected to, but this will grow month over month as I add more to the account. So each month, this should be growing by about $20 a month. Currently, I have no annual margin interest, and then my annual business spread will be $722 a month. There is a discrepancy between these two. Um, they're both estimates, and how they calculate that's a little bit different. So that's why you're seeing two different numbers. And then my monthly annual spread would be $60 a month right here. So for instance, if I'm paying $500 worth of bills a month, that would be 500 minus this monthly dividend. So that would be $440 that I have to take out as a margin loan to gap that payment. But I think that's worth it because I want to invest all of my income first, buy the asset, so I get more and more assets that give me more dividends that will eventually pay the bill altogether. And I'll show you that calculation here in a minute. These are the ETFs that Paycheck to Portfolio recommends. We'll go over these ETFs in future videos. And what I want to do is find out if these are the best ETFs to have, try to discover why he picked these, and if it's what we should be using or if we should change them to something else. So there's SPYG, WPAY, QQI, CRF, CLM. These are both closed-end funds. They're kind of interesting to where if you drip the dividends for these, what I mean drip, it's basically you take the dividends that you're getting paid and you buy these assets when you get paid the dividend. And when you drip the dividend, you actually get to buy them back at the NAV price, which is about 20% less than what it's currently being sold on the stock market. So you're buying more for less. QQQY, BTCI, YBTC, NVIDIA, ECAT, and YMAX. This is how much their allocation towards the entire portfolio that each of these ETFs are for the total portfolio. This is the yield, so the dividend that they pay out. Some of them pay out weekly, some of them pay out monthly, some of them pay out quarterly. The expense ratio, so this is how much you're charged for the ETFs being managed. And this is the total yield that you actually get after the yield minus the expense ratio. And this is the weighted value for each of these for the total portfolio value. And when you add them all up, you get the yield here, the total blended yield, which is 25.13. This is my actual Fidelity brokerage account here that you can see. The things in red are the extra things I'm doing on the side. Like I said, I might sell these and actually put them all into the ETFs that would be paying me dividends. Now this is the another resource from Paycheck to Portfolio. If you want this resource, go to his channel and get it from him. This is very, very useful. So let's break down the plan here. This is the starting portfolio value. This is the starting margin debt, annual contributions. What this is here, this is my annual living expenses plus any savings above and beyond my annual living expenses. So I have that as B13, which is my monthly savings, minus B26. I did have a plan where I would put all my Mercy Fund into this account and then send it back after I bought the asset. I don't think I want to do that. So that's what B26 is. And then B14 is the simulated car payment right now. That car payment will actually go to my wife's student loan instead. So we'll be putting $500 onto her student loan until we do plan to get a car. Let's say we don't want to do the extra payment. I can take that off, and you can see the annual living expenses go down, but the annual contribution stays the same. We also have a small charity that we're given to as well. I figured I would test that out with this account. So the total monthly bills will be $515, but the actual amount that we will be saving is or putting into this account is around $700. This sheet here explains how each month what things should look like. The gross portfolio is the net portfolio plus the margin debt that you have taken out. Drip dividends, this is the dividends that are going back and buying more shares of the three ETFs that we'll be buying back are the CRF, CLM, and SPYG. The rest of them will be paid out in cash. Interest paid. Right now there will be no interest in the first month. And this is the total cash after the non-drip dividends minus the interest paid. Monthly expenses is $515. So the margin used is $471.85. Margin paid down, nothing. We will not pay any margin until the dividends are more than what the monthly payments are. Margin debt will be $471.85. The margin debt is something that will continue to grow until we start paying it off, as well as the W-2 contributions. This is just how much you have contributed to the account from your paycheck. Net portfolio, and then the equity. The goal is to never drop below 50% equity. What happens with Fidelity is they will not do a margin call, and that's until the equity drops to below 30%. So that gives you about a 20% buffer. As this account grows, we will start buying options on QQQ and SPY, and that's just kind of like insurance. If the stock market drops, then you will make money from that drop, and I'll explain that in more detail later. But it's basically you pay a premium for that every month. And then we can go down here. This green square cell here, this is where we will no longer be adding money to our emergency fund, so we can take all that money that we were planning on putting in our emergency fund and put into this account. So that's plus $563, and that will be every month going forward. And then this line here is when we plan on first getting the car. So you can see here that the margin used, or no, excuse me, the monthly expenses will go up $500. My goal at this point will not only will we be putting $500 on my student or my wife's student loan, we will also be putting $500 towards the car payment. The car payment, we are going to get the loan that is only $250 a month, but we want to put $500 on it to pay it off faster. But we also want the flexibility if we have to, we can buy an additional car, because what I drive is a 2006 Honda Odyssey, which I call the man van. As you can, it's about 20 years old. It still runs great, but the body's kind of falling apart. So I think the drivetrain is going to last, probably another 10, 15 years, but the body probably has 2 to 3 years. Um, so that will be plus 500 going forward for that as well. Um, as you can see, will be about 60% equity there, so it will drop down because we will be using more margin for a couple months. And then let's just project it out. Let's see if in 5 years we didn't do any more adjustments, but we probably will, because of we'll trust the account more. We'll start adding more bills. But if we didn't do anything, in 5 years we'd have $87,000 worth of assets. And just going across here, our monthly bills will still be $515. That's because at this point here, my wife's student loans will be paid off, so our monthly bills will go down a lot. You see, we're no longer using margin. The margin is being paid down. The margin debt is going down. We would have contributed $74,000 from our W-2, and the net portfolio would be $81,000, and the equity would be down to 93%. So you can see, by buying the assets up front, because you're paying those monthly bills anyhow, and allowing margin to gap the monthly bills, eventually your dividends will outpace your monthly bills, and you will be able to fully live out of your brokerage account, having it pay your bills, and your W-2 income can go to other things that you want to do. Me personally, being a Jesus follower, I will probably give away a lot of that money for wherever he wants me to spend that money. Pillar 3 is retirement accounts, the boring, simple, long-term side, and that's completely intentional. My 401k is in a 2050 target date horizon fund. It's simple, automated, boring, exactly how I want it. My Roth IRA is a mixture between 50% VOO, 30% IGM, and 20% SCHD. I also have some leftover individual stocks that I plan on selling. Back in 2025, I was buying individual stocks, and honestly, it was too stressful for me. I did okay, as you can see here. I just started this Roth IRA in 2025. I deposited $5,225.51, and it is now $7,347. So roughly about $2,000 is what it gained, and it's probably about 40% roughly. My contributions for my Roth IRA is roughly about my 401k is 6% of my income. I do that to get the company match. The company matches 100% up to 3%, and then 50% on the next 2%, and then I just throw another percent on top for fun. I do recommend that um, you can just put everything into your 401k and not do a Roth IRA. But with a Roth IRA, you have more control of it, and I would prefer control over it. I don't over optimize these because I don't need to. They're designed to run in the background. The brokerage account is where I'll spend my energy learning, experimenting, and actively managing. So, what do I want from you? I want you to poke holes in this, ask hard questions, tell me where this could fail long term. I don't want an echo chamber. If this idea has weaknesses, I want to find them now, not years down the road. This channel is a conversation, not a lecture. Ultimately, money is just a tool, something we can use to love God and love others. If this experiment fails, I'm willing to move on. I trust that the Holy Spirit will guide me where I need to go as long as I'm paying attention and willing. I also plan to bring on guests in the future, people with different strategies, risk tolerances, and perspectives. Some may agree with this approach, some may completely disagree. That's the point. If this sounds interesting to you, hit subscribe, drop a comment, and let me know. Does the trifecta make sense, or where does it break? I'll see you in the next one, and remember, help someone smile and learn something new today.